These are 9 symptoms of a bad alternator that most drivers mistake for a dead battery, and that confusion ends up costing them hundreds of dollars every single time. Around 25 to 30% of roadside assistance calls are for battery or charging system issues, yet in many cases, the alternator is the real problem. Alternator replacements typically cost $500 to $1,000, while batteries cost $120 to $300. Misdiagnosis leads to wasted money on multiple new batteries before anyone suspects the true cause. The alternator hides behind battery symptoms, draining wallets until uncovered. In this video, you will learn all 9 specific signs so you can catch the difference early and keep your money where it belongs. Guessing wrong between a bad battery and a failing alternator can turn a simple fix into a money pit. Every time you swap out a battery, you are spending between $120 and $300, thinking you have solved the problem. But if the alternator is the real culprit, that new battery is just a temporary bandage. The numbers add up fast. AAA roadside technicians see this play out every day. A driver calls for a jump, gets a new battery, drives off, and ends up stranded again, sometimes 2 or 3 times in a single month. In real-world cases, drivers have burned through $600 or more on batteries alone before anyone checks the alternator. Add in the cost of a tow, often $100 to $150, and the bill climbs even higher. Meanwhile, a single alternator replacement typically runs $500 to $1,000, depending on your car. That is a big hit, but it is still less than the total cost of multiple batteries, extra tows, and wasted time. It is not just about money, either. A failing alternator can leave you stuck on the side of the road, or worse, cause your car to stall in traffic. If the alternator pulley seizes, the serpentine belt can snap and take out your power, steering, and your cooling system in one shot. That is not just inconvenient, it is dangerous. To avoid this expensive cycle, it pays to know the difference before you start replacing parts. Up next, you will see the 9 telltale signs that point to the alternator, not the battery, so you can catch the real problem early and keep your money and your car safe. Dimming or flickering headlights are usually the first thing you will notice when your alternator starts to go. If you are driving at night and the headlights pulse with the engine or fade when you turn on the air conditioning or heater, that is not just a weak battery, it is a sign your alternator is not holding voltage. Healthy alternator output should keep those lights steady between 13.5 and 14.4 volts while the engine runs. Anything below that, and the headlights start to draw more from the battery than they should. Next up, watch the dashboard. The battery icon, or sometimes an old school gen light, can pop on while you are driving, especially if you are idling at a stoplight. This warning does not mean your battery is bad. It means the charging system is not delivering enough voltage. Modern cars use a battery symbol for simplicity, but it is really telling you the alternator, or its voltage regulator, is not keeping up. A battery that keeps dying, even after you have replaced it, is another classic clue. If you jumpstart the car and it runs fine for a day or two, but then the battery is dead again, the alternator probably is not charging it at all. That cycle of jump, replace, and stall is a pattern AAA technicians see over and over. But there is a hidden twist. Sometimes it is not even the alternator's main windings that fail. It is a tiny diode inside. A single bad diode can leak more than 50 milliamps when the car is off. That is enough to drain a typical 60 amp hour battery in about 40 days, even if everything else is working. The 4th early warning sign is when your electrical accessories all start acting up at once. The radio cuts out, the power windows crawl, your phone charger stops working, and the dashboard display might freeze or flicker. This happens because the alternator's voltage is bouncing around, sometimes as much as a full volt up or down, making every accessory fight for power. If you notice several of these symptoms together, especially right after a battery swap, it is time to check the alternator before anything else. Mechanical noise often marks the first sign of alternator trouble. A high-pitched whine, grinding, or squeal that rises and falls with engine speed signals a pulley or bearing on its way out. When the pulley seizes or the belt slips, the sound intensifies, and the serpentine belt may glaze, so look for a shiny or cracked surface. Replacing a worn belt costs $30 to $50, but ignoring it risks a snapped belt that can instantly cut power steering and cooling, turning a minor repair into a safety crisis. Distinct smells offer another warning. A sulfur or rotten egg odor near the battery points to overcharging, forcing the battery to vent hydrogen sulfide gas. This is not just unpleasant, it is hazardous. The culprit is usually a failing voltage regulator inside the alternator, not the battery itself. Prolonged overcharging can boil the battery dry and fry sensitive electronics. Stalling and rough starts follow. Engines that hesitate, cough, or die at stoplights, or struggle to restart after short trips, often suffer from low voltage. Fuel pumps and ignition coils demand a steady 13.5 to 14.4 volts. Anything less, and the engine may cut out without warning. Dashboard clues round out the list. A battery light that flickers at idle but vanishes when revved, or a voltage gauge that bounces while driving. Both point to unstable alternator output. TOW, truck drivers recall motorists who ignored these signs, hearing a whine, smelling burning, then losing steering before the engine quit. Sometimes a $40 belt could have prevented a $150 tow and a highway breakdown. A simple digital multimeter gives you a straight answer on alternator health in less than 5 minutes. Start with the car parked, engine off, and all accessories switched off. Touch the red probe to the battery's positive terminal and the black probe to the negative terminal. A healthy, fully charged battery should read between 12.4 and 12.8 volts. Anything below 12.2 volts means the battery itself is low, but don't stop there. Alternator problems can still be hiding. Next, start the engine and let it idle. Watch the multimeter. A properly working alternator will raise the voltage to somewhere between 13.8 and 14.4 volts. That's the sweet spot, enough to run the car's electrical system and recharge the battery at the same time. If the reading stays below 13.5 volts, or worse, does not budge from the battery's resting voltage, the alternator is not charging as it should. Sometimes you will see the number jump well above 14.5 volts. This points to a faulty voltage regulator inside the alternator, which can overcharge the battery and damage sensitive electronics. Now, add a load, turn on the headlights, set the fan to high, and switch on the rear defroster if you have one. Rev the engine to about 2000 RPM and keep an eye on the voltage. It should hold steady, ideally above 13.2 volts. If it drops below that when loaded, the alternator is failing under stress, even if it looked fine at idle. This 3-step check gives you a clear pass or fail. Steady voltage in the right range means you are good. A drop under load or failure to rise above battery voltage at idle means it is time to replace the alternator before it leaves you stranded. Never try the old trick of disconnecting your battery cable while the engine is running to check the alternator. That move might have worked on cars from the 1970s, but on anything built in the last 30 years, it is a recipe for disaster. Pulling the cable while the alternator is spinning can cause a voltage spike, sometimes over 100 volts, through the car's electrical system. That is enough to fry your engine control unit, damage sensors, or even brick your entire dashboard. Modern vehicles depend on sensitive electronics, and a split-second surge can leave you with a repair bill in the thousands. Mechanics see this mistake more often than you would think. Someone tries to save time and ends up needing a new computer, not just an alternator. Stick to safe diagnostics, use a multimeter, and never use your battery cable. One careless test can turn a simple fix into a nightmare. When it is time to replace your alternator, quality is not just a buzzword, it is the difference between fixing the problem for years or ending up right back in the shop. The numbers are clear. Original equipment, OEM alternators, have about a 5% failure rate within 3 years, while aftermarket units can fail 50 to 60% of the time in that same window. That is not just a small difference. It is a 10 to 1 odds advantage for OEM. Industry engineers point to better internal parts and stricter testing as the reason. If you are comparing prices, remember that saving $100 on a bargain alternator today can cost you double in repeat repairs and downtime. Most original equipment OEM alternators last 7 to 10 years, sometimes up to 150,000 miles, while many aftermarket units do not make it past the third year. For less than $15 and 60 seconds with a digital multimeter, you can avoid the whole mess. Test before you buy, and when you do buy, choose reliability over the lowest sticker price. Right now, a flickering headlight or a battery that repeatedly dies points to more than sulfation. It signals that the alternator's voltage regulator or diodes could be failing. Miss that pattern and you risk fire, power steering loss, or a $400 breakdown. Trust your multimeter, not just your instincts. Stay alert and drive smarter.